Sup with it, guys? You got Excellent Name here, back again for another UPA match, this time week 5 up against Jiggy. He has a team of Victini, Nihiloko, Klefki, Tsarina, Drampa, Togedemaru, Mega Pidgeot, T-Tar, Buzzwole, Sandslash and Vaporeon. Bit of a weird one, honestly. The biggest threats that I'm seeing are definitely going to be the Mega Pidgeot, as well as the Victini, but the main thing that I do notice is that he doesn't have all that much for Manaphy once it sets up. Particularly the Z Rain Dance set looks quite promising. His main answers to it are the Vaporeon, the Tsarina and the Drampa. I don't personally see the Drampa coming to this game, so it's pretty much just the Tsarina and Vaporeon. I feel like I can do a good job of breaking the Tsarina and chipping it away, but I don't have that same confidence against the Vaporeon necessarily. So I decided to run Energy Ball as my second attack here. He also doesn't have all that many steel resists at all, so I figured that Scarf Rachi would be pretty solid. I've got Moonblast here because his best answer to it by far is the Buzzwole, and I wanted to be able to hit that pretty hard without automatically making myself T-Tar fodder and getting trapped. Vaporeon can obviously wall this set pretty effectively, but it's a super passive mon versus my team, so I don't think he'll bring that necessarily. And if he does, I've got a fair few ways of pressuring that anyway. Just not enough to necessarily kill it. But next up we have Lopunny, another Pokemon that looks like it's going to be able to put in a lot of work offensively. He does not have a lot of good resist to this. Once again, Buzzwole is going to be his primary resist. That's where the Toxic comes in to just pressure the Buzzwole and the Vaporeon. Those are going to be the main defensive answers to this thing. Everything else is going to be getting pressured pretty heavily by Fake Out and as priority, etc. Pretty standard stuff there. Some more standard stuff here with just a Hippowdon, bit mixed defensive, mostly into the Spadef side of things to deal with the Mega Pidgeot, which just runs amok on my team, but I also have enough defense here to ensure that I live to Scarf Victini V-Creates. And then, just standard sets. My goal with this is to get up rocks pretty much as soon as possible, just because I really want to limit the amount of swap-ins Mega Pidgeot has. Then I've got Specs Hydreigon. He doesn't have a lot of good swap-ins to this outside of like the Klefki. Other than that, Dark Pulse is pretty much claiming, or Draco Meteor if he's got the T-Tar. I also have Earth Power as just like a safe spammable move in the late game. Mainly if his team's already chipped or if I want to sweep or something, just because it is pretty ground weak overall. And then I couldn't really think of a good 6th mon to bring. Nothing else really stood out to me. And I remember hearing Jiggy complaining about this mon and what it did to him in matchup. I don't personally see it. I don't think it's super good. But at the very least, it does give me a way of putting a little bit of pressure on the Vaporeon with Energy Ball, a little bit of pressure on the Buzzwole with Moonblast. And more importantly, it gives me a defog option in case he decides to bring Hazard Stack versus me. Just Life Orb because I want to maximize my damage output in the few swap-ins that I do have. And Stun Spore there to... because I'm willing to sack this thing to Mega Pidgeot or to Victini, just to get a power off if I can. Because once again, this isn't a super important key to my team. But we'll just jump right into the game now. Should swap sides here, but yeah, he's going to lead as Victini, which immediately signals to me that he is Scarf, and I want to lead the Whimsicott, mainly because I don't see a lot of leads that beat this necessarily, and the ones that do, I am fine with trading for a para, namely the Victini. So he does lead the Victini, and I'm just going to go for a Stun Spore. He does go hard into the Tsarina, which is a good play to do that, but I just want to get chip on this for the Manaphy mainly, as much as possible. As he goes for the U-turn into the Togedemaru, I'm walled by this because I didn't bring Hidden Power Ground, so I just go into the Hippowdon as he goes through a U-turn and brings in his Buzzwole. I wall this, so I'm pretty happy to just go for a Stealth Rocks and scout what he wants to do. If he goes for sub, I can Whirlwind him out, but he actually reveals to be Taunt, which puts me in a really bad position because I don't have great swap-ins to this thing. Naturally, the swap-in is going to be Whimsicott because I don't mind if this thing goes down and he reveals to go for the Drain Punch, which makes me think that he probably doesn't have Ice Punch or anything like that. He's probably lacking coverage. So Whimsicott's pretty safe to just go for a Moonblast here as he brings in the Togedemaru. I still want to go into the Hippo here, and because he did go for that Wish, I can get up my rocks. Unfortunately, of course, he does have Serena to just go for the Rapid Spin here, but that doesn't matter too much to me because I know that I can just bring in my Rachi and get the momentum back. I go for the U-turn here as he decides to stay in, which I am fine with because he's just taking shit for the mana fee, and I now know to be a little bit more aware of the Togedemaru coming in. Victini goes for the U-turn to bring in Drampa as I set up my rocks. My only really decent swap into this is Jirachi, and I do kind of have to go for it. He gets the crit Draco there. Health on Jirachi doesn't matter too much, so I'm not like super pissed off about this, but I was a little bit peeved at the fact that I only have 2 Stealth Rocks swap ins left. If he got like a 1% roll lower, I would have been on a much happier situation, because I only can swap into rocks 1 time freely, unfortunately. So I am just gonna go for the Iron Head to Flinch Fish. Once again, Drampa out of the way is going to be very nice for mana fee. That's the main thing that's answering me. And he swaps into Togedemaru. Thankfully, he is not Rocky Helmet or anything. But I go into Lopunny expecting him to maybe be Spiky Shield. I just Mega Evolve and go for the Fake Out here, expecting him to go for a Protect there after the Wish. But he makes a good play and goes for the Protect this turn instead. I'm not sure why he's Protect instead of Spiky Shield, but that's beside the point. But I can just go for the high jump kick here to bring him down to Sturdy as he goes for the Zing Zap. Goes for a Protect there, but damage is done. His Togedemaru is already dead. As he decides to swap out into Buzzwole to keep the fodder. I'm not sure why I didn't do this in the first place because Buzzwole was a really safe swap-in, but my play is to now go into the Hippowdon, just knowing that he'll probably want to just kill off the Lopunny as soon as possible, and then I will make the double into Hydreigon because I am 100% positive that he's going to go for a Taunt or Toxic, something like that. So now I pretty much know his full moveset. Taunt, Toxic, and Drain Punch leads me to believe that his last move is going to be something like Roost or potentially Sub, but I just go for Draco Meteor to claim my kill there. No reason to Dark Pulse because he could just go into T-Tar anyway, but I can get in Hippowdon quite safely as he gets up his rocks, which does put my Jirachi on a timer. Jirachi is incapable of winning this game now that the hazards are up after the crit, but I whirlwind him into Victini, which is quite nice as he goes for the U-turn into Serena, as I whirlwind him out again into the Buzzwole. I just go into the Jirachi here because I don't want to risk Hydreigon on a potential Drain Punch play, but I figure that he is much more likely to go for the Taunt or Toxic still, and he's fairly low, so I should be able to get a lot of good damage in with the Moonblast. Which is what I go for here. Unfortunately, I'm not doing enough damage to kill him as he goes for the Roost there. But I can keep him very low, force him to switch out into his Victini. And unfortunately, I can swap out, but I can't bring him in again since I don't have removal anymore. Victini just goes for a U-turn and then gets his swap into Drampa. Obviously, my best play here is to sack the 5% Jirachi. It's useless at this point, and I can just scout what he goes for. He goes for the Roost there. Unfortunately, despite him locking himself into Roost, I can't set up with Mana Fee yet just because he does have Serena at a good amount of health still, and I don't have the Ice Beam. But he just goes into T-Tar there to take the Draco. He can no longer swap into that, which is quite nice. And once again, I have the safe swap into Hippowdon, who is able to live any 2 hits quite comfortably, even the Ice Beam. Naturally, my best play would be to slack off here, as he brings in Serena, which puts on pressure. But I can just go into Hydreigon, as I can take the Trop Kick if he wants to go for that, and if he spins, then I get another kill anyway. Thankfully, he decides to Trop Kick. I would have preferred that over spin. So I just kill this off with the Draco Meteor, which I think was a bit of a choke on his end because that was the best thing that was stopping my Mana Free from winning the game at this point. He goes into Victini there, which wasn't a play that I really understood, but I was able to just take it out with Fake Out and then get the Toxic onto the Buzzwole. But at this point, it doesn't matter. I know what his set is. It's Roost, Taunt, Toxic, and Drain Punch, so I can just set up with Manaphy for the win. If he Toxics me, then I can Rain Dance the next turn afterwards anyway. Drain Punch isn't going to do any damage. He goes for the Taunt there to make sure that I can't set up twice, but the damage is already done at this point. I can just go for the Scold here. He goes into T-Tar hoping to live a hit, I guess, or just going for the Sack Fodder. And then finally he goes into the Dramper to die to a +3 Hydro Vortex. So very solid game by both players, I feel. His prep was really solid and forced a lot out of me and made it difficult to play around the Buzzwole in particular. And I probably could have played this better, but thankfully he didn't have to make a Pidgeot. And thankfully he made a few misplays that were able to help me set up Manaphy for the win. So anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.